What if there was a universal roadmap for healing, a foolproof plan to end the suffering in our lives and reach our highest potential? I actually think that there is, or at least there's something pretty darn close to this. If you're not familiar with the 12 steps of recovery, which have been adapted from Alcoholics Anonymous for virtually every support group that has followed in its wake, one of the biggest mistakes that you could make is assuming that these powerful steps are only for chemically addicted individuals or alcoholics. If I was only allowed one single recommendation I could give my clients through which I could virtually guarantee meaningful transformation, it would be for them to work the 12 steps and attend 12-step groups if that was relevant for them. The beauty of the 12 steps is that they can be adapted to serve whatever issue a person is struggling with. And I'm not going to read the full 12 steps here in the video. If you're not familiar with them, check out my blog or do a Google search for the 12 steps of recovery, the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it'll come up very easily for you. But I will go over the first 3 steps. So the first step is that we admitted that we were powerless over something in our lives. This could be an addiction, a chemical addiction, but it also could be food. It could be sugar. It could be a behavior such as compulsive eating or gambling. It could be sex, things like that. And it could also be something even more insidious like our negative thought patterns, our ego self, our self-righteousness, our arrogance, right? Those are all things that we, can be powerless over. And the second part of the first step is that our lives have become unmanageable as a result of whatever we're struggling with. The second step is that we came to believe that a higher power could restore ourselves to sanity. And then the third step is that we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him or her, as we understood that God to be in our lives. So the 12 steps is a non-religious, non-dogmatic program that does not subscribe to any specific religious group. So and we all have something that is controlling us. And that's the universal nature of the 12 steps. That for some, it's chemical. Alcohol, drugs, sugar, food in general can be an addiction for a lot of people. For some, it's behavior, like I mentioned, sex, anorexia, bulimia, gambling. And then for others, it's, harder to nail down. So like something like our ego, your own negative thought patterns, our need to control things in our lives, our resistance to change, even our own physical health can be something that we really don't have control over and is controlling our lives. We all have a monkey on our back, and if you don't, you're probably not listening to this or reading my blog because you've worked through your baggage and come out the other side a transformed human. And for that, I commend you. Amen. You are an absolute miracle, and thank you. I'm sure you're doing amazing work. So this is what makes the 12 steps so powerful, is that it is universally applicable to whatever's holding you back from realizing your full potential. So this is why the 12 steps have been adapted to serve those struggling with virtually every type of addiction, compulsion, or toxic element in life that overwhelms them, controls them, or generally makes their lives unmanageable. In fact, the 12 steps begins, or the power of the 12 steps begins by calling us to look at our lives and realize that they are indeed chaotic, they're overwhelming, and they're out of control, and that our best efforts to find a solution have not yielded productive results. So in other words, we admitted that we were powerless over this situation and that our lives had become unmanageable. And this is not exclusive to drug addicts. This is not a realization that only drug addicts and alcoholics make. Individuals struggling with food addiction, sex addiction, relationship addiction, codependency, or any other form of compulsive behavior will inherently need to come to this realization for healing to happen or to occur in their lives. The realization that your best thinking got you where you are, and it is truly beyond your control to manage it at this point. And this is step one. From here, it only gets better. The 12 steps are literally a guide for living a better life than you're currently living. They're a guide that will serve you in whatever struggles you're in. Likely, they're likely to be applicable to whatever struggles you are working with or working through. And here's the thing. You're probably already familiar with the 12 steps because virtually every self-help book ever written, every personal development seminar, transformation workshop can probably trace its origins back to elements contained within the 12 steps. If not in its entirety, it's certainly individual steps. And the reasons for this is because the 12 steps are absolutely universal in overcoming obstacles that prevent us from finding the joy in life, connecting to a higher purpose, releasing ourselves from the bondage of external projection, connecting to our accountability and responsibility, and sharing purpose with the world around us in an absolutely authentic way. And so, I mean, that pretty much sounds like every self-help book ever written, at least in the past 30 or 40 years. So, but it gets better than that. The most amazing thing about working the 12 steps is that they come with a limitless amount of help and support. There are millions of individuals using the steps to transform their lives and thousands upon thousands of various types of support groups out there. The community that has grown up around the 12 steps is possibly the number one reason why they're so successful. For some, it may seem counterintuitive that a bunch of people who all have the same problem would be able to support each other in making changes in a positive direction. But remember that all of these individuals, or at least a vast majority of them, had admitted their powerlessness and are now learning to live a new way of life. And so this encourages a tremendous amount of healing and growth. The experience, strength, and hope that we derive from other people going through similar trials, struggles, and suffering is drastically different than the help that we get from going to a counselor or talking with family and friends and people looking at the situation from outside. And it's also extremely different than getting advice and opinions from those who are not consciously trying to better themselves, and that situation can be absolutely disastrous. So in this way, community is a key component to healing, and being surrounded by others who are all striving to make the same positive changes in their lives offers inspiration, hope, and support in a way that you really can't find anywhere else. Now, I just want to make a quick note that if you are new to the 12 steps or contemplating attending a 12-step meeting for the first time, keep in mind that every group, every meeting is different. And if you don't resonate with one, go try a different one. I've been to tons of meetings and there's some I don't like. Sometimes somebody rubs you the wrong way. Sometimes the demographic is just not, they're not people that you really resonate with. This will change as you attend more meetings. You'll find meetings that you really connect to and people who you really resonate with. The 12 steps is also, it's kind of one of those things where they're as valuable as the work that you put into them. There's no requirement for signing up for 6 months or an intensive boot camp, or you don't have to pay a health coach or any of that kind of stuff. The 12 steps are absolutely free. There's no cost for membership to attend any anonymous meeting, and there are literally hundreds of thousands of them worldwide. And there's no fees or dues to participate and work with other people who are utilizing the steps successfully in their life. And you can leave whenever you want, at any time. There's no requirement to talk in any meeting or make friends or even like the meetings. It's pretty much the safest thing that you can possibly utilize to find healing in your life. I usually recommend that people go to a bigger meeting the first couple times, if possible. Sit in the back, maybe even near an exit, if it makes them feel more comfortable. Sometimes that isn't possible, and you need to drive to a distant town just to make yourself feel more comfortable, more anonymous. That's great. That's what these meetings are all about. So final thoughts. The 12 steps are not a fad diet. They're not a gimmick. They're not a current fashionable trend. They're an incredibly simple, straightforward process of recovery from the very thing that you're struggling with in your life. They're the real deal. They are tried and true. And if you're ready to commit to yourself and your healing process, there really is no better direction than the 12 steps to proceed to. I hope that's helpful. All right, cheers.